Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Nadia Hassan and she's Charlotte Chong. The guys people at the Makan Union have actually allowed us back in. We didn't trash them so badly last time, so they've been very, very nice to us, so we decided to come back and
the food
talk.
is pretty nice as well.
The food's actually pretty good, yeah. So basically what happens is we're going to do our Friday show today, and we're going to give you the wrap-up of how it's actually going to go. So of course, the first thing is KLCI closed down 0.02% to 1633.07. The interesting thing was, at the beginning of the day, it looked like we might have a green day. Then in the last hour, people just panicked.
So it came down. Well, the entire week we have been tracking the market closely. Then KLCI has actually been tracking the regional market very closely as well. And when it goes up, when the regional market goes up, we can see KLCI actually went up as well. Now, it has been uneven week, like what I say, no clear direction of the week, extreme lack of catalyst, like what you see, extreme lack of anything in the market. Now, I think the liquidity will only flow back to the region after Chinese New Year.
Yeah, so as we shot this event, Shanghai went into bear territory. I think that's anything that's above a 30% drop. So going back to, just before we go on to what made us happy and sad this week, talking about interesting things, right? Did you see this report that was going around Facebook? RBS, the doomsday prophets, came out and said, sell everything, sell everything, sell everything. We're pretty much screwed.
Now, what RBS say? RBS actually say that it's going to be a cataclysmic year as oil could fall to $16 a barrel. Do you think it's possible to see oil to fall as low as until $10 a barrel?
I think if there's any chance that Donald Trump would become president, there could be a chance that oil at 16 is the case. The fact is, I think they are seriously erring on the side of bearish to the extreme. I saw this actually gone off a lot. They're literally saying, look, just batten down the hatches. This year is going to be bad. You know, China has started off a major correction. We don't think it's going to get any better. So the thing is whether you believe that particular story.
So RBS actually said they sell everything except high quality bonds. But apart from RBS, another company, JP Morgan, actually have advised clients to sell bonds as well. Not bonds, not just bonds, but sell any stocks to see any bounce.
So anyway, just to sort of, but while we leave that into things that make us happy, by the way, all of this has happened and it's the second week of the new year. I wish somebody would just press reset, but never mind. So what was made us happy was Repco Low, or Low Thiam Hock, and the slow wheel of justice, as we called it. So what happened this way was Low Thiam Hock, who is almost legendary in the stock market circles, that's why he's known as Repco Low, actually finally, well, some people would say justice was served because he was found guilty under Section 84(1) of Securities Industry Act 1983. Well, 1983, yeah. Basically, he was put away for instructing this dealer to do almost like a purchase Repco shares by taking up prices of everything to sellers, so you create this artificial demand for these shares.
So of course this happened before our time, right? It was happened between 1994, it was during that time, and the offence that they charged him was a penalty of a minimum fine of 1 million ringgit and maximum jail term of up to 10 years. Now they say they are ordered, was ordered to surrender his passport a few days ago, and the court has fixed January 19 to deliver the sentence.
So the thing is, the questions that we asked for this one is, why did it take so long? As you can see from Repco's share price, holy cow, what kind of movement was that? Of course, this was before the financial crisis and everything went the way of the dodo. But yeah, you wonder whether it's gone very long, and the other thing that you have to think about is, will this stop other people from doing the same?
Well, the thing is, right, actually we question why, how come they took so long to convict this guy, especially between 1994 and 1999 until now. SC and also Bursa Malaysia has actually called a lot of witnesses, you know, to ask them what has actually happened in the market. Is it misleading? What happened? Did he actually acquire that many shares, 227,000 units? And things like that.
It still has a while to go before I think he even smells a whiff of jail time. So, but the thing is, as they said at the end of The Big Short, people tend to forget. The whole financial crisis at the end of 2008, millions lost house, billions, one person went to jail. So yeah, I don't hold hope. Moving on to what's sad, that outweighed what was good this week, the Jakarta bombing and geopolitical pressures. There was a report I read, and we've talked about this before, that actually this year geopolitical issues are going to be the black swan. They're going to be the interesting things. Yesterday was the sad state, the Jakarta bombings claimed by IS.
Right.
Then you had the bombings in Turkey. Then of course, on another note, you saw North Korea doing a hydrogen blast. All of this has shaken people.
Now of course, before any of these things happened, we saw Paris terrorist attack in November last year. And they claimed that because all of these terrorist attacks actually mimic what happened in Paris in November last year. Now for this particular terrorist attack, we saw about 7 people were killed in a series of bomb and gun attacks. And I actually looked at the footage and it's so terrifying.
Geopolitical concerns, this includes, of course, tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which are impacting the price of oil.
Correct.
People do say that all of this is knee-jerk. As you can see from the Jakarta thing, it didn't really drop. It sold off a little bit, but it gained. So the fact is, I think it's very knee-jerk. However, my question always is, what happens when this gets worse? And are we so jaded that we think, oh, only 6 people died, 7 people died? When did it become like this? When did we forget?
I think, well, basically, I think it will eventually hit the stock market. Like when I look at Paris, the France stock exchange, it didn't hit much, but you could actually see a drop in the French exchange today in November last year.
Okay, but I don't know. Let's see how that works out. Anyway, we're just going to go on to our last one for today, talking about really, really sad weeks. We mentioned this at the beginning of the week, but it's been a week of death.
Yeah.
Yesterday we saw Professor Snape, Alan Rickman,
and also Celine Dion's
husband also passed away. But the one we're talking about today is David Bowie, and in fact, if you can catch a trace of it, we're actually playing him in the background. His album Next Day.
Now, the reason why we are talking about David Bowie, of course, is because he was the
he's
pioneer.
Amazing.
He was the pioneer of Bowie Bonds back in 1997.
So the thing is, the question I want to ask is why we're talking about his death is that he was ethereal. He was amazing. He was from those odd eyes to whatever he was. He changed the world. And you know, after even like 40 years, which we'll not talk about because everybody has talked about it. Never mind that he saw the internet streaming, downloading before anyone else back in 1998. We are talking, as you mentioned, about Bowie Bonds, about why he was, from a business perspective, a renaissance man. So in 1997, he created these bonds together with this one particular individual. What's his name again? David Pullman. David Pullman. So essentially what they did was they securitized his catalog. It was the first time anybody had made a bond out of intellectual property.
Now, Bowie Bonds actually began in 1997. I know you're a big fan of it. You just ran down the street and bought,
I
bought his CD.
But why aren't you a fan?
Because I wasn't born in that era and wasn't adapted to that kind of music.
But I wasn't born in that either, but you cannot deny what he's done. So talking about Bowie Bonds in 97, I mean, when you were reading up on this, didn't you find it fascinating? He actually packaged and securitized intellectual property.
He's definitely a very creative guy, and basically what happened was in 1997, he raised about $55 million in 1,000 denominated bonds. So actually a lot of people buy it because it's much higher than, I think it's about 7.9% yield.
Yeah, 7.9% yield. You must remember that's about 10 to 15 points higher than what was actually at the time. They actually rated the bond AAA. You know, Moody's actually rated the bond AAA. It was all bought up by Prudential. And in fact, although the streaming and everything have actually cut the bond to junk status, they did manage to redeem the bond. And the beauty of this is, he thought about it this way. Usually when a musician wants to sell his rights, it's to raise money, right? So in this way, but when you sell your rights, you actually lose your rights. You sell it to somebody else. So what he did was, by securitizing it and allow people to invest on the future of those rights of the music, at the end of it, he still kept his rights.
I think it's very creative for him to do that. I don't think probably you can see more people doing it, but definitely he is the first guy that came out with that idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, you saw more esoteric people, horses, wine, all of that came because of him. And I don't think we can sort of minimize what an amazing person he was. Well, at least for me, he was a soundtrack to a lot of generations, and for me, certain songs will always bring me back. Anyways, just I hope you rest in peace, and for the family as well. Anyway, on that side note, that's how we end Market Matters today. I'm Nadia Hassan. She's Charlotte Chong. For more on the news, go to edgemarkets.com. Tomorrow is Saturday, so you can pick up a new copy of the Edge Weekly at all sensible newsstands. And the fact is, and if you want to hear more of David Bowie, just go to iTunes and download it now. But anyways, good night guys, have a good weekend.